we've got a lot of questions. We'll try to get one question from everybody, and if you have more than one, we'll circle back around if we have time. But we'll open it up, and we might have a question for Representative Dill or Senator Longbine. Well, okay. Yes.
Senator Longbine, you mentioned early on in your comments the potential of an amendment that would redefine the legislature's role in funding of education. I think maybe another way to put that, it also would limit the judiciary's involvement in that. And I'm just curious how both of you feel about that potential amendment.
I have not, and I don't know whether you have not, I have not seen the exact wording of the proposed amendment, but my understanding of what the governor would like to do is to more clearly define the role of the legislature in determining suitability of education and then also appropriations of income, or appropriations of money to school. I need to see the language. We need to have lots of debate and lots of discussion. From the surface, it doesn't sound like something I would support. But we need to get out of this litigation cycle that we've been in for probably, almost 10 years. The other concern that I have is the district court decision that was handed down 2 weeks ago said that the legislature must appropriate $44.92 in base aid for students, regardless of economic conditions. So we have just gone through the second worst recession in the history of the United States, and the court has said that the legislature could not make adjustments to education regardless of the economy. So that's a little bit troublesome because I think we have to have the flexibility to make budget adjustments when we have to. Another way to think of this is that if a constitutional amendment would pass, both the House and the Senate with 2/3 vote, then it goes to the voters. And this would be an opportunity for the voters to reaffirm their belief in education. And if that responsibility solely ends up with the legislature, then the voters are going to have the opportunity, if they so desire, to support pro-education legislators and remove from office those that don't strongly support education. So I don't know how this is going to work out, and I haven't set a firm feeling on it yet. Ultimately, I would like to have the voters decide and reaffirm what I believe in Kansas is a very strong support of education and end the constant litigation that we've had over the last 10 years. So we'll see what the constitutional amendment says. My guess is the Senate would pass that. I think it will find great difficulty in the House. But ultimately, if it does pass the House, then it goes to the voters, and the voters get to decide which way they want to go.
It's good to catch up on these things. The two arguments that Jeff mentioned, that is getting ourselves out of this cycle of litigation, and the point about giving the opportunity for the people to decide, are the two best arguments to go in the direction of a constitutional amendment, and they're pretty compelling. I've been in a room when, this room. I mean, if we would say, look how problematic and how difficult this cycle of litigation has been, and think of the appeal of removing ourselves from that, there'd be, most of the heads would be nodding. And when you A lot of nodding heads. So that's that side. The other side in Emporia, in this area, is very profoundly affected. And we're right in the middle of this thing. We were in the middle of the Montoy case, and historically, go back as far as you want. Anytime we think about reform of school funding formulas, financing, the common denominators are constant. First of all, in order to get anything to pass, you have to start from a place of, okay, we're going to hold everybody harmless. No matter if your enrollment has dropped or where you are, the only way we're going to get this to pass politically is that everybody gets at least as much as they had. So that's point A. And then point B is, where is the political power? It's in the robust, the growing, the people that have concentrations of representation. Well, which of those two groups does Emporia fit into, or Dodge City, or Salina, or Garden City, or many smaller districts? Well, we don't fit there. And our district, among many others, was falling further and further and further behind, and that's the whole basis for the Montoy decision, which the court eventually unanimously upheld lower court rulings, and that's how we got to where we were. So, we can certainly see both sides. If anybody can, we can in this community, and communities like ours. I think the senators had a meeting with the Attorney General earlier in the week. The House Republicans had that meeting yesterday morning regarding the current case and where we are in terms of course, the three-judge panel has made their ruling that we have to provide remedies, we have to increase funding. And I think it's worth noting that after the Montoy case, there was much chagrin on most of the legislative members, and certainly I was chagrined. I didn't disagree with the ruling. I thought it was appropriate. I thought it was the only one that they could make under the circumstances. But I was troubled a bit by the prescriptive nature of the remedy. They didn't say, legislature, fix this. They said, legislature, here's the fix, and you will abide by the fix. And that's led to the special session in 2005, and it led to an approach which is a 4-year ramp up to where the Supreme Court said we needed to be. Well, now, funding has gone south, and the legislature's ability to remedy that is certainly in question, having passed a $700 million plus tax cut in the last session. And if you talk to people, there's very little doubt on anyone's part where this current case was headed. There are no new substantial facts. Yes, we've had a recession, but yes, we're on the way out. If you were listening to Governor Brownback on Tuesday night, you heard how good a shape that we're in. And so, what are we going to do in that context with school funding? I mentioned the three-judge panel. The legislature, in the wake of the Montoy case, and with the substantial distress over what an activist Shawnee County District Judge, Judge Bullock, had done, we said, okay, no more. That this isn't going to happen again. We're not going to have one judge that's dictating to the whole state what's going to happen. So we passed a new law that said cases like that would no longer be heard by one judge, they'd be heard by a three-judge panel. Three-judge panel, and Judge Sanderson can correct me, is appointed by the chief of the appellate court. So these three judges that are ruled on this current case, one judge from Shawnee County, I do believe that he's a longtime judge. I think he's an appointee of perhaps Governor Carlin, maybe even, I think Governor Carlin. The other two judges, one from Goodland, who was elected judge out in that district, and a judge from Parsons, who was appointed by a Republican governor. These three judges are now the ones that have ruled, and they ruled unanimously, and they have a 250-page opinion, which I haven't read, I've seen. But that's back to where we are, and it's so in terms of the budget, we have a budget that balances. It will balance, and it treats basic services and education and universities pretty well. But it balances by virtue of what ability we have over the next 80 or 90 days to fill in a $600 million hole. And then we still don't have any provision for the $400 million plus or minus that is a shortfall in public education. So to say we have daunting challenges with the mildly. What was the question?